think they compete as hard in there as they do at anything that they do in their life, just from a bragging perspective, so that they can kind of give each other a hard time about it. But the ping pong games in the locker room are legendary. I'm sure, I think everybody kind of saw probably his highlights of his basketball career in high school come up. He wanted to make sure that got leaked out, so everybody saw that. But yeah, just a really competitive guy, and it's fun to be, watching him kind of express that and let people kind of know who he is a little bit more.
I've heard specifically about the ping pong, but apparently cornhole. Have you seen him play cornhole, or have you seen the ping pong?
I've seen the ping pong. That's and especially the last couple of weeks, we've got a chance. Obviously, when the guys have downtime in the hotel, there's a little area they can always go and kind of hang out together as a team, and it gets pretty competitive in there. Whether it's Madden, whether it's college football 25 or whatever it is, I don't even know. And whatever they can compete at, they're competing at. So it's pretty fun to be a part of.
And a little bit more serious here, just the offensive line. Kind of how have you tried to manage that and put the pieces together? Where's Rocco at, and how's Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has had a good week of practice. We've run kind of several different combinations there, trying to figure out exactly which one's best. We'll kind of let everybody know about that as we go down the road here. But I love the way those guys have worked. There's been good cohesiveness between everybody that we've put into the different spots. So I know they're excited and ready to show what they can do.
What about Jagasaw give him the ability after such a long time off to maybe be your left tackle on Monday night?
I think whoever we end up putting in at left tackle, I think those guys, even Jagasaw when he was injured, was never very far from the group. Always in the mix, always in the preparation. So I think it's allowed us to kind of be maybe a little more cohesive than it might seem from the outside, just because those guys have, throughout the whole entire year, even the guys that have been injured have been a big piece of this. Thanks. Oh boy, there's so many things. I think he's consistent with his message of encouraging those guys in every aspect of their life to reach their full potential. I think they identify with that. I think he's a genuine person that when you talk to him, you feel like you've known him. If you've talked to him for 5 minutes or whether you've known him for 5 years, you feel like you know him. The real Marcus Freeman, because he's so authentic and he's so personable, and I think that relates to the players of today really well, and they kind of take that in and feel like, okay, this is somebody that I know has my best interest at heart and that I can trust, and allows them an opportunity to kind of give their best to that effort when they've got a leadership like that. Yeah, very, very critical point in our season, obviously, and it really the mood of the team and the feeling around the team always comes from the top down, and his ability to compartmentalize it a little bit, to analyze it, to kind of be willing to be vulnerable. Us as a coaching staff, him as the leader of the program, and look at the things that we felt like we really needed to fix, and not just not just that we lost, but why we lost, and what is it that we can change, do, repair to make sure we don't have to suffer the same consequences again. And he did an outstanding job, obviously, of doing that and pointing the team in the right direction. They've done a great job of following the plan. Yeah, I mean, you have to make some decisions about how you're going to treat it. You know what I mean? Is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? Is he something in between? And it's a unique scheme. You don't see a lot. I'd call it kind of like a little bit of a nest look, where they've kind of got him perched up there waiting to pounce whether you run it or pass it, and he's in a position to affect the game on either side of the field. So, another brilliant scheme by Coach Knowles and their defensive staff, and it's hard to deal with.
Is there an element of cat and mouse between Riley and when he's in that position, do you think?
You definitely have to account for Caleb wherever he lines up, but let alone when he lines up in that position, just because of his ability, as I said, to kind of get to either side of the formation and make an impact on the play that you're running. Oh, boy. Number one, he's been probably a consummate teammate in everything he's been asked to do. Came back into the program wanting to contribute in any way he possibly could, demonstrated every piece of that by his actions. And when we got an opportunity to insert him, in some special team situations as a scout team quarterback, as a wide receiver, to help our defense get looks in practice. He's just been willing and able to do a multitude of things to help this football team in any way that he could.
Mike, I think you were on the Notre Dame team last play for championship. What are the comparisons? How are compare that team to this team?
Oh, boy. A lot of water under the bridge since the last one, but I just think the difference in this team to the team that we took, where was it? Was that the Orange Bowl, or they just was that the national championship game? I can't even remember anymore. The BCS title game. There you go. Thank God. I think over the course of the time that we spent playing that first championship game to where we are now, the evolution of the program and the commitment to Notre Dame football from the very top of the university all the way through the organization that is Notre Dame athletics and Notre Dame football has given Notre Dame an opportunity to be back in this position. And the decisions that they've made to make a commitment to play football at the highest level and make sure that the resources were there necessary to make sure that was a possibility, I think is what's led us to where we are.
The pass play to Jamie against Penn State, I think that was the longest. The pass play to Jamie against Penn State, I think it was the longest pass play of the season. Does that have a name? You make it a point for that maybe being the biggest offensive play of the season, considering how it came.
I think probably the drive to start the third quarter and the touchdown run by Riley was a pretty big game as well. Pretty big play as well. I think the touchdown run by Jeremiah Love when he got hit by everybody on defense, including the guys standing on the sidelines on the bench, I think, and scored anyway, was a pretty big play. So, there was a lot of big back and forth in that game and a lot of big plays, but that was certainly a big play, and it was great to see, Greathouse get kind of rewarded for a lot of hard work, and he's shown a lot of patience. He's got ability to make plays like that all the time. Circumstances haven't always called for it, but he's always been there and will always be there when we need him.
Does he have a technical name in that play?
No, not necessarily. That just happened to be the read on that play, and that's where the ball ended up going.
It looked like they had it covered. The press man and then the safety over the top. What happened. Those guys fell down.
Well, they fell down because of a fantastic release off the line of scrimmage, and I think we caused a little confusion with motioning to a stack over there and giving them a look maybe they hadn't worked on as much.
Mike, as you guys have been through 15 games, going into number 16, what have you guys learned as a staff just about building to play this long of the season and what it takes?
Yeah, when you say that, it just makes me tired thinking about it. But I think what we've learned over the course, and Marcus does an unbelievable job, along with our sports performance team, of keeping up with the data, the workload of the players, how fresh they are, even to kind of looking at the numbers that they have when we do put them in the weight room and make sure that they're maintaining strength. What's their power output? How does that figure into all this? And fortunately, we got a lot smarter than me making those decisions. But it alters how you practice. It alters how you approach the physicality of what you do towards the end of the season. Of course, you can't have the same practice week 16 as you had the first day of training camp. It's not quite as physical as it was maybe in the beginning, but you have to be able to balance the work that you need with limiting some of the physicality, but still get the speed as much as you possibly can. It's a little bit of a challenge, but we've got really smart kids, and they understand what we're after and how to get it.
So are there like specific guys that you look at the data, on a certain day and say, okay, we got to back off because they,
Oh, absolutely. That's a daily process for our sports performance team to monitor. This guy needs a little less today. This guy needs a little more today. We got to get this guy running out a little bit more today. He's got to reach 80% of his max speed I wouldn't even begin to explain to you that I know anything about the technology with that or how they analyze the data, but we pay very close attention to it to make sure we've got the freshest team we can have when we get ready to play.
Mike, I know you're a prison veteran and you've been through these wars many times, but coaching in a pretty big game, what are your emotions going into this, and what kind of, I don't necessarily want to say pressure, but what are you feeling in terms of having to be really precise and really be at the top of the game when you're calling plays?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I feel pressure as much as I just do excited for the players. The pressure that I put on myself is more to make sure I'm giving them the best opportunity I can for them to have success. The rest of it is, this is awesome, and, the atmosphere is awesome, and playing in the national championship is awesome. But if I was playing against Al Golden's defense on Tuesday in training camp, and I didn't do a good job of putting the guys in position to compete against his defense in a training camp practice, I'd be upset with myself. And so I try to always keep the same mindset as far as, my mind is on making sure that scheme-wise, schematically, personnel-wise, we got the right people in the right spots, and the scheme fits what we're trying to get accomplished, and we're giving our guys the best opportunity we possibly can for success.
You've had a stout, impressive, physical offensive line all year, and you're a running team first and foremost, but you're going against a defensive line and you can't win the point of attack like you may not be able to all the time against Ohio State. What do you do? What do you call when you're not winning at the point of attack?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to do a good job of mixing things up. I think you've got to show a variety of different things, right? I mean, we've been probably throughout the season primarily a zone team with a little bit of gap scheme stuff mixed in, but I think you got to be multiple in how you attack it so that they're not just seeing the same type of blocks every single running play that you're trying to run. So, some diversity in what you're doing with the run game, a little bit of misdirection and things like that to try to keep them off balance and keep them from really anchoring down because they are an incredibly talented defensive front, and you got to be on top of your business if you're going to move the ball against them. Yeah, I mean, I remember, fall camp and Charles, getting his feet wet. He hadn't played a lot of football, obviously, even leading into fall camp. And then, unfortunately, the injury that happened. And I think one of the first questions that we all asked was, how serious is it? How long is it going to be? Is there an opportunity to possibly get him back at some point? And then to watch him every day put in the work necessary on the sideline and in the meeting room, just in case there was an opportunity, just in case there was a chance for him to possibly contribute to the success of the football team, was pretty cool to to witness and watch every day. Coming into the game, the Orange Bowl and playing the way that he did, I thought was a testament to his preparation and a testament to Coach Rudolph and the job that he does with the offensive line. We'll see how things shake out for Thursday, but he's had a really good week of practice, and really all those offensive line have done a nice job this week.
One of those guys do go down. How do you adjust?
We'll have a rotation for our inside positions with someone and a rotation at tackle with someone. So it really depends on who ends up starting the game, and then we'll kind of configure the pieces from there. But we've worked a number of different combinations all week with those guys. They're all locked in. They're all ready to go. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
How much at all did you study Georgia Tech film leading up to Georgia interview?
We definitely watched the tape. I don't know that we're exactly the same type of team as Georgia Tech. I have a great deal of respect for their staff in what they do to generate offense, and I thought they did a great job with the quarterback run game in that game for sure. So everybody that's out there that I could possibly study, I'll study. But you pointed to the Georgia Tech game against Georgia. I thought they did a really nice job of maybe even kind of revealing a blueprint, even though it's not exactly the same blueprint that we use, but to give you an idea of maybe how you could not only stay in the game but win the game. Yeah.
Speak to the tenacity of going for it on fourth down that this team has had throughout the college football playoff and this season, and just the trust in the players.
Yeah, it really starts with Marcus and his willingness to let these guys decide the game. And, it's been obviously a lot of fun to be a part of. And I think the guys do a really nice job of understanding how critical those situations can be, whether that's us staying on the field, whether that's our defense getting a stop on fourth down, and what a momentum swing that can be for this football team. And we've been able to take advantage of that in some critical situations, not only in the playoff but during the year. And it's made a real difference, I just think, in the overall belief and attitude of who we are and what we are. Yeah, I think Jaden, to his credit, has been the same guy every day. He's a consummate worker. He comes to practice the right way, digs in every day, hasn't had as many opportunities as I wish he would have had because he deserves them. And then to see him get rewarded in the Orange Bowl, the ball found him, and it was his turn. And we've been fortunate over the course of the year where that's bounced around to different receivers at different times. And I was, if he hadn't prepared the way he prepared every week, if he wasn't in the same positive frame of mind to get himself in that position to be ready for those opportunities to present themselves, maybe the outcome's different. But it's a credit to him for the way he approached it and all the work that he did to get there. There's a little more bounce in his step for sure. And I think that's just because all he's ever wanted to do is to contribute to this football team's success. And he got a big opportunity to do that, and he stepped up to the moment like a lot of guys have during this season at one time or another. And like I said, to see him get rewarded for that because of his approach was pretty special. Yeah, it's definitely a philosophy to not necessarily limit one guy or another, but to make sure that we've got the freshest, most explosive combination of backs that we can have at any particular time during the game and during the season, quite frankly. And, I don't know that you can ever plan for making it into a 16-week season. But it obviously is a benefit as we move forward that those guys have been able to stay fresh throughout the year and kind of share the workload as much as they have. I'm sorry? Yes. Well, I've never seen him not clear anybody yet. So until somebody catches him by the ankle or something and he flips, flips over or whatever, that's something that I think just naturally happens for him. Some guys it seems to happen like they're running and all of a sudden I've never seen anything like it. It's pretty spectacular to watch. I'm as big a fan watching it, I think, as everybody else that sees it.
Hi, Coach. Jen Lois, 3605 and Urban Radio. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. So just two quick questions for you. The first is, what has been your favorite play you've seen your guys do during game day this year without your input?
Oh, boy. There's been several. I mean, anytime, and we are a quarterback-driven system. As the years gone along, we've got better and better at Riley kind of recognizing things that are potential problems and fixing them as we've kind of gone down the road offensively. Anytime that happens where he takes control and gets us into a better look or a better play than any play call I could have possibly made, or fixes one of my mistakes that I make, it's a proud moment for sure.
And then my last question, what do you think the difference is with y'all versus Ohio State? Do you think Ohio State is the same as last season with a few tweaks, or do you think, what are your thoughts? Because I know last year was kind of a tight game with y'all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think, every year you're a different team. You kind of start from scratch. Obviously the last couple contests have been pretty hotly contested. They're a great football team, and I know we're going to have to play at our very best to give ourselves an opportunity, and we're prepared to do that.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you. Hey, good. That's a nice way of saying because you're really old. No, I'm just kidding. But, obviously, we've had a nice little run here the last few years. I've been extremely fortunate to work with some incredibly talented football players. Getting to this level and getting to play in college football playoff games and BCS national championship games and things like that don't just happen because of, one person or one thing or anything like that. I'm just so grateful to be in the position that I am and to have the quality of people around me from a staff standpoint, from a head coach standpoint, from a player standpoint that gives me an opportunity to do what I love to do. I think it's a couple things. I think, number one, he has completely embraced the University of Notre Dame, and the University of Notre Dame has fully embraced him, which you and I know hasn't always been the case 100% across the board. I think, secondly, the players and the messaging that Coach Freeman has the ability to deliver and the connection between him and this football team is a pretty special thing. And I think it allows them to not only trust his process, but also kind of dig in wholeheartedly and gives us the best opportunity to continue to be successful. Nothing that Jaden Daniels does surprises me at all. And I say that not because it's by some stroke of luck or anything else. I know the preparation that he goes through. I know his process. I know how important playing good football is for not only himself but the people around him, how much pride he takes in helping others be better at what they do and making sure that he's on top of everything and every detail that he needs to be on top of. So I can't say I'm really surprised by it because I know the work that he puts into being really good at what he does. I'm just really proud of him and happy for him for all the success. Yeah, thanks.
Coach Denbrock, appreciate the time. EJ Manuel with Sirius XM.
Hey, EJ.
I wanted to ask you, what's the philosophy of getting Riley Leonard, your starting quarterback, into a rhythm early in football games, whether it's the first 15, or just kind of some of the first chances in the game to get him going?
Yeah, I mean, I think for him in particular, it's important to try to get him a throw that he feels like he's got a lot of confidence in early in the game. And then on top of that, it sounds a little bit probably crazy, but I think he's better when he gets hit. And, getting him a carry or two early in the game to try to help him kind of settle in emotionally, I think has been something that helps him kind of get off to a better start.
Coach, trust me, as a former quarterback, that was a big deal. You went quarterback counter, quarterback power, you get hit, kind of got you into the game. But your thought process around this rushing from Ohio State, we've got really good guys, JTT, Jack, these guys who can make impact plays. How do you plan on trying to protect Riley Leonard in that pocket as well?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to hedge our bet a little bit with some of the route concepts that we do. Give the tackles a little bit of help when we can. Obviously, those guys are fantastic pass rushers and really impactors on the football game. And it's not just the defensive ends. I mean, their inside guys, in my opinion, are guys that can impact the game as well. So it's a handful of problems up there. And whether that's, chipping the edges or helping with the tight end with nudging on the edge or whatever, we're going to have a good piece of that in what we do just to make sure we give our guys the best opportunity.
Appreciate the time, Coach. Thanks.
Thanks, EJ. Appreciate you, buddy.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you, buddy.
Keep it going, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate you. Yes, sir.
Does it help you guys know the fact that you seem like you were just here not too long ago against Georgia Tech, and then what are the keys for you guys to be able to move the ball against a very stout Ohio State defense?
Yeah, I mean, let me go back to the Georgia Tech game first. What a tough football team. What a well-coached group. That was a battle. I think all the games that we played this year like that one have helped prepare us for what we're going to face against Ohio State. Now, obviously Ohio State, their front seven is tremendous. And when you say, hey, their front seven is tremendous, I'm not trying to downplay their back end at all. Those guys are great cover guys, great tacklers, great at impacting the football game on their own right. But we're going to have to win the line of scrimmage and be consistent with doing it for us to be able to operate the way we need to operate offensively.
You could have scripted a better story to this point for your team. I'm just curious, being in this moment again, Mike, after all these years, what it feels like.
Amazing. I mean, I'm just so happy for this group of players, this group of coaches, Marcus, the university. They've obviously made a huge commitment to giving us an opportunity to be successful. And then for the players to kind of bite down on their mouthpieces the way they have the entire year, struggled, fought, injured, hurt, never blinked, never questioned, never stopped, and just have battled. And I just is so proud to just even be a small piece of it and honored to be part of the University of Notre Dame's program.
Last week, offensively, the first half was a struggle. The second half was much different. How much confidence do you feel like you guys picked up last week in that second 30 minutes?
I mean, Penn State's a good defensive football team. I thought that spoke a lot to their ability to kind of bounce back. We didn't play our best football in the first half of that game by any stretch of the imagination, but the will to be successful is a theme that runs throughout this entire football team. And I thought they dug in at halftime, made some hard decisions about the way they were going to play the second half, and went out and did it. I don't believe I've ever lost the quarterback and a lineman or two linemen. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? That's like, you're like, okay, well, what else, right? But it's just a testament to the preparation of the guys behind them. I mean, Charles Jagasaw, Taj Baker, Steve Angeli, they don't blink. They do what's required. They get in there and they battle their tails off. And for us to get those 3 points right before halftime, with those guys executing and doing the things that they did to make that possible, was a huge part in the game.
Mike, obviously, players dream about being in moments like they're going to be in on Monday. I'm curious, do coaches allow themselves that kind of luxury as well? And for you, to be able to put a national championship in Notre Dame on your resume, what would that mean?
Well, the national championship part for me would mean everything. You know, it's for this university to have that experience again. It's been a minute. I would cherish an opportunity to give them that. You know, I think secondly, you know, coaches aren't that much different than players, but I think it's really important always, and I have to remind myself, just like I try to remind the players all the time, live in the moment. You know what I mean? Just 6 inches in front of your face and let's go. And that's been the secret sauce to the success of this football team the entire year. I know from the outside at times it seemed pretty dire, but these guys are unshakable because of the belief that they have in themselves and because of the belief that they have in just capturing the game in those small instances and winning that moment. And when they do, those moments start to build on each other and really good things happen. Thank you. Yeah, the offensive line, scenario. You know, we've had to practice a number of different combinations there this week. The guys have done outstanding. We're going to make a final decision here about exactly what it's going to look like on game day here as we get a little bit closer. But we've worked some different combinations there for a reason. The preparation of the guys in that room in particular and their attention to the detail has allowed us a little more flexibility than maybe some people have at times with being able to insert guys and move different guys to different spots when we've needed it. And unfortunately, we've needed it quite a bit this year. But those guys continue to be rock stars where that's concerned and just dig in. No, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't. I know we're capable of winning a national championship, but to be honest with you, it's all been about process for us. It's all been about earning another opportunity. And we've earned this last one opportunity to try to prove that we're the best. And we're going to do what we can to make sure that becomes a reality. Very important.
When you first came back for the third time, you mentioned you thought Notre Dame could win a national championship and you wanted to do that. And yet, reality hit you in February, March, April. What did it look like and how steep was the climb?
Say the last part?
How steep was the climb?
Yeah.
Because you knew it was going to be a process and it was going to be for you.
Yeah, I think from when you and I talked, you know, way back when I first came, I think I mentioned it more than once that, we were going to be a well-oiled machine right out of the gate. And there's been times even in the last couple of weeks we haven't been that much of a well-oiled machine. But I just love the battle of this group. I love their fight, their belief. We've just continued to get better. And no moment that we've encountered so far has seemed too big for this group. they just dig in and somebody makes a play. Somebody makes a block. Somebody makes a run. Somebody makes a throw. And I think the neatest part about the whole deal is it's been spread out through the entire offense. It's been the running backs. It's been the receivers. It's been the quarterback. It's just a collection of individuals that have fought their tails off for each other, and obviously have put themselves in this position to hopefully bring home a national championship for Notre Dame. Yeah, buddy. I mean, I think from a practice standpoint, it's given us some real versatility to figure out what combination is best up front and exactly how we're going to position those guys. Having him healthy, I remember him, and I said this a little bit earlier, on the sideline, even when he was injured, and the work he was putting in just for an opportunity, if it did happen, where he got healthy enough towards the end of the season where he was physically in a position to contribute. And to see that now come kind of to fruition and him being able to get in a football game and play some meaningful snaps, and not only play some meaningful snaps but be really good at doing it is a testament to him and his preparation and Coach Rudolph. Is he? I mean, based on our sports science team and the analyzing of all that they've done, they feel confident that if called upon to do that, he would be in a position to contribute the entire game. Yeah, I mean, it really starts with Riley, with how genuine a human being he is, right? And people are attracted to that type of genuine concern, care, tremendous work ethic. Those are the things that win a locker room over, right? Those are the characteristics that, of course, you want every player in your program to have, but especially your quarterback. And I know it was a difficult transition for him. Obviously, it took him stepping outside his comfort zone to put himself in a position that he has to try to win a national championship. And because of the work that he's put in, and because of the kind of person that he is at his core, has given him this opportunity. Jack Kaiser? Okay, go ahead. What's it like, going up against him at practice? From an offensive perspective, how hard is he? Yeah, he's a pain in the backside, quite frankly. He's incredibly smart, hard to block, gets everybody in a good position. I have to try to, believe it or not, as much as I try to, have some fun with Coach Golden with some of the formations and stuff that I run. I have to do that for Jack. Otherwise, Jack's going to sniff out everything that I'm doing and know what we're trying to do before we even do it. That's how smart a football player he is. So it's awesome. We've had a lot of conversations while in the stretch line. I'm always walking by saying, what's the blitz of the day today, Jack? What are you trying to hit me with today? And we kind of go back and forth and have some fun with it. Yeah, I mean, from a run game standpoint, regardless of the opponent, it's really important for us because that's kind of how we're built. We've got to find a way to run the football. So that's obviously an incredible challenge against Ohio State, and they're the best team, at least to this point in the season, that we've played as far as schematically taking things away from you. having really, really talented football players and attacking you, and then adjusting when you feel like, you may have a handle on what they're doing. Jim does an unbelievable job of mixing that up and trying to get you confused again. So we're going to have to be really on top of that. It's going to be a huge challenge to get that accomplished. But it's something I think our guys are committed to. It's something we've worked very hard at the entire season because we know what important piece of our offense overall that is. Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with, we always, Coach Rudolph does a really good job of rotating offensive linemen, especially as the year's gone along, even within the framework of our practice. So, and we don't go at warp speed, but we are a no-huddle bunch. So guys inserting and being pulled out and having to kind of step in and perform is something that I won't say it's a natural thing, but with the system that we run, they're a little bit more familiar with it than maybe some people would be. And I think the different combinations that we've been forced to play throughout the year with different guys starting at a position and then maybe someone getting injured and we have to move this piece over here and that one over here has allowed us to maybe get some experience that maybe they normally wouldn't have gotten throughout the course of the entire year, which allows us to be maybe just a little bit more flexible than some people could be.
When guys kick out from guard to tackle, if they have to do that, what do you notice generally is the most difficult part of that potential transition?
Yeah, just the playing in space. There's you feel like you're a little more protected at guard, because you got somebody on either side of you to kind of give you a little boost if you need it. Tackle can be a lonesome place to line up and play at times, especially if you got the talent that Ohio State has on the edge of their defense.
When guys do have to shuffle around to different positions, how does handling stunts and twists and those types of things, how do you simulate that, I guess? Would that require different types of communication maybe than what would just be a regular play?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're obviously always mindful of what gives us the best opportunity to be successful, right? And, if you've got someone you've bumped from guard to tackle and they haven't worked there much that week, that can be a challenge on certain schemes that you're running, right? So you have to be mindful of all those things as a play caller. Make sure you're taking those things into account. And it all influences what you call, when you call, and why you call it. Thank you.
Around 8 minutes left.
We're getting there. Down the home stretch. I like to run my yapper, as you can see. So. Yeah, I mean, leadership comes from the top down. So it starts with Coach Freeman and runs through, what I consider a tremendous coaching staff that obviously, follow through on the message. And then when you have a locker room full of Notre Dame football players and Notre Dame men, that's the type of character it takes to be successful at Notre Dame as a student, let alone as a football player. And to watch that kind of as the year's gone along and all the adversity that these guys have gone through kind of foster and blossom and get to the point where, you end up with a football team that they just believe they're going to find a way to get it done. And it's pretty fun to be a part of. Yeah, I mean, the special teams obviously the defense played incredible in that football game, but the boost we got from the special team score, you can't even measure those things because you don't really even, from the offensive side of the ball, speaking specifically, you don't even take those things into account. You hope they happen, but you can't really count on them happening. And when they do, you got to be ready to capitalize. And I think that's really what this football team's done the best of anything throughout the year is when people have made mistakes, we've been able to capitalize on them and turn them into a real positive for this football team.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Mike?
I asked Jim Knowles if he'd ever seen you across the way in a game, and he didn't think so.
No, I don't think so.
So what's it like? You guys have been around. Well, all four were amazing assemblage of coordinators.
Yeah, crazy.
You guys know each other. I mean, the other guys across the way. And what's a Knowles defense mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been fortunate to not have to face Jim's defensive structure and over the years, but incredible amount of respect for him and their whole defensive staff. I mean, their guys are not out of position. They're incredibly technically sound in what they ask those guys to do. They use their players to the strength of their football players, and I don't know that there's a bigger compliment you can pay another coach than their guys are in position to make the plays because of the way the coaches scheme their defense and give those guys an opportunity to be in those positions. So just an incredible challenge. I've watched Jim's defenses from afar for quite a few years, and it's going to be an incredible challenge for us. But just excited for the matchup, and we'll see what we can do. Thanks, Mike. Hey, Tim.
Hey, I got two guys that don't play major roles for you. We discussed what it felt like to see Steve Angeli get rewarded for everything he's done. But
Yeah.
also, Tosh Baker,
Yeah.
a guy that has been replaced a couple times to have that name.
Yeah. Let me start with Taj. Just so happy for him to, you're not happy that someone got injured so that he got an opportunity, but to watch him embrace the opportunity and go out there and just battle his tail off and be rewarded for the guy comes to work and prepares every day. He's not like, I'm probably not going to get every day in the meeting room, on the practice field, putting himself in a position where if called upon, he was ready to respond. I thought he did an incredible job of that. I was so happy for him to get rewarded. And it's really the same story with Steve, excuse me, to a large extent. Steve, his preparation, the way he studies the game every week, just in case. And then for that to happen in such a critical point in the game, and for him to just go in there like clockwork, methodical, focused, on top of it, and lead us down for a field goal. That drive in particular, I think, probably ranks in Notre Dame lore somewhere as something that was incredibly important, and especially if we're in a position to finish the job on Monday night.
You probably have ideas for his defense to go in and some plays to run, but that was a different situation, right? I mean, is there a 2-minute drill for Steve for you?
Not necessarily, just because, Steve's always been a talented thrower of the ball. So that situation in particular, I'm not going to say it was maybe a little bit easier from a play caller standpoint, but it was definitely one that I knew there wasn't anything in our 2-minute package that he couldn't handle or didn't know inside and out and could execute at a high level, and that's exactly what he did. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, Mitch is a contributor in all aspects of our offense, whether that's on the perimeter, in the passing game, and he's made huge impacts, especially down the stretch here, huge plays in the passing game. And then he's really upped his ability to be a physical presence in the run game and given us the ability to not have to swap personnel and do different things like that to be effective running the football because of the commitment that he's made to really take his his run blocking game to another level. So I think he's a complete football player that can be a problem for defenses for sure.
How impressive is it, considering the knee injury, and now it seems like he's playing maybe a little bit more extended of a role, maybe with Cooper out, and the amount of snaps that he's playing at this point of the season, and the value behind that?
Yeah, I mean, he was not himself early in the season, but was out there giving everything he had for the football team. I think as the year's gone along, his health has improved and improved and improved, and now I think we've got the best version of Mitch that we've had throughout the entire season, which is good for us, and it's good timing, obviously. But then you add on top of that, Cooper going down and losing that element of our physicality on the edge of our offense, and Mitch stepping up and being in a position from a physical standpoint to be able to step in and fill some of that role has been a tremendous part of our success. Sure.
Coach Denbrock, coming from LSU to Notre Dame, obviously completely different personnel. How much fun have you had this season getting creative with your offensive playbook and doing things differently this year than you have in years past?
Yeah, I mean, I think it always starts with me with, okay, what is our personnel? Where are we? And what do they do best? And then kind of build it out from there. And, at LSU, that was we had a pretty good quarterback and we had some pretty good wide receivers. And that was, let's launch it a little more. Let's get a little more aggressive with what we're doing. Here, we were a little bit more built offensive line, tight end wise. That was kind of the style that they've played here over the last few years. So it kind of gave us a leg up in that area. Not that we don't want to be able to throw the football and be explosive. That's got to be a piece of whatever you do offensively. But playing to the strengths of the personnel that you have, I think, is a really important piece of the whole deal. And that's kind of where we started with this group. I love the evolution of how we've been able to kind of loosen up a little bit as the season's gone along. So I think it makes us a lot harder to defend overall. Thank you.